We're going to use property tab builder, which is going to write variables to our custom properties. Those custom properties are going to be tied to our part and assembly templates. Also, our part and assembly templates are going to be referencing the property tab or the custom property that we designed in the property tab builder. And that will all translate to the drawing template, which is also associated with the sheet format where all of our notes lie. So I know that was kind of a lot going on, but I'm going to help make sense of all of that. So we're going to start off just going through an example live here, just making a part. So we're going to create a new part. Again, just to reiterate, here's those templates that I access. So if I come to the novice and select a new part, essentially that's going to, or that is grabbing this part template here, this assembly template if I make an assembly, and this drawing template if I make a drawing. So I'll go ahead and start with a simple basic part, and I'm gonna make a sketch on the front plane. Again, nothing fancy, just do an octagon, because I already have a file named hexagon, and just define it. Make it 3 inches. That's fine, and we'll extrude it out. Just basically, I just want some geometry. It really isn't important, but just it's going to help me with my drawing when I get to the drawing. So here's the bread and butter of where we're going to be living. So you come over here to this custom property tab. When I was a seller, I didn't use it as often. I really find value in it now that I've reworked the entire thing here. With my coworker, Bobby, he's helped me out with a lot of this. He's inputted a lot, really knows what he's doing. And he's added this cool little instructions. Typically in SolidWorks, when you go to use a new feature or something, it gives you a little instruction like select this vertex or select this face. That's really what the intent here is. So there's cool things you can do, and I'll get into how you add those things later in the presentation. But I'm just going to go ahead and quickly rock through filling this out. So I'm going to give it a part number, which you'll see it's going to be different than the assembly part number. So there's a reason. Revision A, and here's a list drop down. So we have all of these customers that we interact with, and all of our customers have different industry standards. They have different tolerances, and that's really what drove this automated process, was knowing that we could just simply select 3D printing, manufacturing, assembly, injection molding. They all have different tolerances and different tightnesses that we're going to need. So based on the customers' wants and needs, we can select them, and that updates a portion of our title block, actually, one sentence where the name comes up twice. We're going to just stick with InterLink Engineering. The next one the next cool little option here that we have is a radio button. These are radio buttons. So if I toggle between here and here, that actually changes my list, my dropdown. So this is a simple list that's referencing a notepad, a text file. And if you don't need anything fancy in there, if you're not having multiple lines for one line item, which kind of sounds confusing, but that's what you see here, then you can just get away with a basic text list. Now, if you want something complicated like this that has plus minus symbols, multiple values, and it's going to format all in one click, then you're going to want to use Excel. And that's what we did here. So we have 7 different industry standards for right now that we commonly use and reference. We have sheet metal, welded, cast, injection molding, 3D printing, assembly. So when I select this, that sets the tolerance in my title block, which is really nice, if I need to make a change. Another cool little thing you can do, if it's not subject to just whatever is set in this box, I can come in here and actually make a change dynamically while it's right there, or while it's right in my custom properties. It doesn't have to be what it is. Those standards are just what we use commonly And it really just makes it easy for our new engineers when they come on, just say, hey, set that to machine for the tolerance. The next option that you have in the property tab builder is you can add checkboxes. And what's cool is when I check this box, it's going to activate multiple other boxes. So now I have these vendors with the list. I can select which vendor is going to make that. So Forecast is going to 3D print this for me. And they get a part number, and I can input that part number in. I know it's going to be made out of ABS plastic. It's going to change the appearance of my part. And the finish, I'm just going to say none. And I'll just quickly go through and just add in some of this other stuff. But really, we want each engineer to come in when they're creating a part and fill this information out. And it makes sure that our drawings and title block is accurate and clean and usable. So I got my part. So I'm going to click apply. And what does that do? Well, if I come here, there's two ways to get to, my properties. So I can click more properties, and that's going to pull up this custom properties right here that you see. And so you can come in, you can see there's the part number I inputted in, there's the revision number, there's the finish, there's Dylan's name, or D. Pratt, he's the one that drew it, and all these other people. And then also I have a tolerance. And sorry, I'm talking a lot. And where is my tolerance? Well, tolerance is in there. I am just drawing them. There it is. So yeah, if I come down here, there's my tall standard. So it's going to write that it's in inches. This sheet is in inches, and it's machine. Now it just shows machine, but thank you. It's actually, if I click in here, you can see it carried all that information that we had in Excel, but it looks like it's one long line item, but it's there. So before we get to the drawing, we're gonna go ahead and make an assembly from this so we can go through the assembly template as well. Save my part. Desktop, let's just go here. Yep, in the title block, and you can add these notes in there that will update as well. She asked if all of these properties translate straight into the drawing. So we do have to do some modifications, but I'll show you how we modified our drawing template to reference these variables. All right, so there's that, and it's asking me for a blank template, but that's okay. So a blank template, this is a good point to point this out. A blank template will not be accessing the custom properties that I built out. That's why this is blank. So I'll just go ahead and exit out of this, click new, and select assembly. It's hiccuping, of course. Oh, there we go. No, it's good. We're good. And then I'm going to insert this in. So now let me just control drag off a couple of these parts here. So we have an assembly. When I go to make a drawing, we can see the difference. And I click here, and it's blank. That's okay. We'll just save out this octagon assembly. Where is, oh, assembly custom properties templates. So that's the one that we built. So I'll select that. And what's cool about that is you can, if you have multiple customers like us, some of our customers have this already built out, and they make it so you can fill out your own, or you fill out information that is pertinent to their drawing. So that's what you're seeing here. So when I click that, if I needed to switch to a different customer like KZL, Keizo has their own assembly with their own variables that write to their own drawing template. Then you can go ahead and do that and see how it changed here on the right-hand side. This is all the information they're looking for their drawing. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch back. So I'm doing that a little bit fast. Let me slow down. So this is the template options that allows you to switch to your different templates. And I'll go ahead and select Assembly Custom Properties template. That's ours. And it's going to update. And then I'll just go ahead again and fill this information out. My part number needs to be different in order for me to demonstrate what I'm trying to show. Revision B, we just got to make it different. Company name, we'll go ahead and use Darko, sounds good. And we'll be in millimeters this time. That's different than the last one. And sheet metal. Again, purchase from, choose a vendor. Forecast is going to do this one. These are simple, just list. Again, these are text documents, and this list here is referencing an Excel sheet. Vendors sometimes give you their part number as well. Material says C bomb finished. I did none on the last one. This one's going to be anodized just to make a difference, and just add some dates and people in just so our title block is finished. There we go. All right, so now we have a part and an assembly with all of these custom properties filled out. So we're done, we're ready, it's been reviewed and approved, and we're ready to make a drawing. So we're gonna say make drawing from assembly, use temporary replacement font, that's fine. And I'm gonna pull in an isometric view. I should have chose B size because that's a little bit smaller and easier to read. But as I zoom down in here on my title block, you can see there's the sheet metal, my tolerance, everything that's important. It displays the word millimeters here. Here's all the people that you probably are commonly used to seeing are finished, set to anodized, and the material. So on the second page, it's important that it reflects what our assembly is displaying as well. We don't want it to pull in the part, but a lot of times you're going to have an assembly, and then you're going to want to display a specific part and do some section views and cutout views of that part. But we still want to know that part number and the material of that thing. So we were able to do that. Let's go ahead and input in. I'm going to switch here to the part that I had created. I'm going to pull in a front view. This is really just so I can pull in the properties that are written specifically to this part. Now, if I go over here to my design library, since we collaborate a lot, I can use this these custom notes that are built in that reference variables. So it's when I drag and drop it on, this one is going to give me a part, a description, a material, and a finish. Those are the variables that I filled out. So if I drag and drop that onto my part, it's going to pick up that metadata and display it. So part 42, octo extrude, it's made out of ABS, and the finish is none. So it's a big difference than what we had here in the other one, as you can see, but our assembly is still controlling our title block on the second page. And if I keep going, I can make it on the third page. And I have a slide to show you essentially what is controlling that. It's in your system options here under document properties. Again, if you guys, those of you who are familiar, document properties live with your template. So any changes that I make here and I save, those are going to stay with this template. So every time I make a drawing, a part, an assembly, any of those changes are going to be stuck in this thing. So if I go to drawing sheet here, this is where I check this box that says use custom property values from this sheet on all sheets. That makes sure the title block is the same on the first sheet and the second sheet. So that's really the bread and butter of what I have to show you guys today. So I'm gonna kind of walk through what we did and how we got there, and let you guys at the end finish up with any questions you guys have. So we started off with custom properties, and I had a checkbox and a radio button. What's cool about the checkbox and radio buttons is they can activate hidden lists, and that's what we did in both of those. So you have the radio button over here that I'm toggling. It activates that hidden list on the right-hand side. Also, if you see first, if I activate a checkbox, it activates multiple lists that I can reference, that I don't have to go hunt down who my vendors are, who my employees are, who did what. It's all there when I activate it. So the main three things that I want to talk about are checkboxes, radio buttons, and lists. And how did we do that? So this is the property tab builder. If you guys aren't familiar with it, this is what it looks like. When you download SolidWorks, it downloads for you. So how you find that, the easiest way, just search property and it comes up. So you have property tab builder. It brings up this blank template, essentially. You can modify it, add your variables, write the names of your variables. That's what we did. So this was all done ahead of time. You just put in a checkbox, and our checkbox needs a list, and I want another list here. So I just drag them into this group box. If I come to this excuse me. If I come to this checkbox, the name here is the variable that's going to be referencing on your drawing title. If it's checked, it's going to display that name. So when it was checked, it displayed the name inches. And I'll show you ours once it's done, but it's kind of nice to see what it looks like when it's blank. Now, when it's checked, if I want a text box to display like ours, then I select there and it says list 4 is going to display. If I wanted to display a different box when it's unchecked, then I can do that as well by selecting that box there. Now, if I want to have a radio button, I'll put in a new box, new group box, and I'll drag in my radio button and a couple more lists. So when I come here and I select radio button, for if radio 1 is toggled, inches is radio 1, then I'll select the list box for radio 1. And if radio 2 is selected, then I want list 2 metric to be displayed. And that's the quick and easy of how we did that. Now I'll show you what ours looks like. So we have part custom property template, and its assembly is the same, pretty much. So here's what a done one looks like. And now if I come over here to the radio box, drawing tolerances right here, you can see it's going to display when I have inches checked or radioed. It'll display tolerance inch for manufacturing type, and then it allows you to select that that specific list. And same with the millimeters. Now here's the name up here, and here's the variable, tall standard. Now I'm going to show you guys the slide. So remember, the variable name is tall standard, and the name that is going to display my title block is inches and millimeters. And this is probably a lot to take on at once because we got variables and names and they all work together. So I'm trying to show you guys 3 different ways to the same thing. Okay, so if I select here, this is where I link my Excel sheet. So this one is referencing an Excel sheet. You tell it the rows, A1 through A10. Those are what it's going to go into that sheet and look for. And then it's going to display that when you click down. Same with this one. Versus a simple text box like this created by, we saw a list of users that are a list of engineers here at InterLink Engineering. So it's just referencing this people text. Now, if you're an admin, I recommend that you add it to your quick properties. So here's our custom properties, and here's that people text. It's just a simple text file that has our names, and it's easy to add. If I have new engineers, I can just jump here and add it. If I have a new vendor, because vendor was one of them, I can just jump in, find my vendor name. We got a new vendor. Now we add that vendor name in. And then when I go to access that custom property in the task pane, I'm going to see that new vendor, update my part, which will update my drawing, and everything's clean and fixed and right and proper, most importantly. Now, here's what the Excel sheet looks like as well. The Excel sheet allows me to add multiple rows to one box. So, and I also can add plus minus. This is the plus minus, so it's x.x plus minus, but millimeters different. So how do I do that? I had to make another Excel sheet. So if I come over here, I have one that's specific to millimeters. Notice the tolerances are different. Also, a cool little trick that Bobby implemented in and helps protect it is notice that it's in read only. This is so somebody doesn't get in there and start just changing things, and then every time you open it up, it's all broken. So I highly recommend, if you know how to lock down your files, you lock them down so people can still open them up and look at them, but they can't just get in there and start changing things. Okay, so those are the lists, two lists, just a text file for one option or an Excel sheet for another option. So that's the property tab builder. We created a checkbox which referenced two different boxes when checked, or two different lists, sorry, when checked, in a radio button, which, and you can do, you can have it show, you know, a list, a text box, you can have it show whatever you want. Just feel free to play around in there and get used to those types of things. So it's a simple, just drag and drop, change the name, make it fit what your company needs. Same with the radio button. There's the radio button, drag it in to a group box. Once it's dragged in, add your list. Once your lists are in, then you're gonna come in here, you're gonna find the list wherever you store that list and have it reference your text file or your Excel sheet. All right, really hitting it home here. So again, Notepad or Excel. There's the simple list that you create and reference. Here's our Excel sheet that is referencing. Also take note that the first row is blank, and that's intentional. So that's when you open up this custom properties on the right-hand side, it doesn't default to a specific manufacturing every time. It doesn't default to machine. So when I create a part template, every time it's going to be machine. That's intentional. We want it to be blank. And that's also kind of a catch, because if you don't fill out your custom properties, or you have a new person and he comes in and he creates a part and he's like, all right, it's done, ready for the drawing. And then you drag it and drop it in, your title block's going to be blank. So it's a good catch to ensure that they went through and you're like, okay, you didn't fill out anything. You need to go back in and fill those out. So again, just adding the blank ensures that it doesn't default to any. Those are little tricks that we learned along the way. Here's the title block. Again, I had one variable. I mentioned it was the tall standard. So tall standard controls two names, inches or millimeters for a radio button. That's what's kind of cool about a radio button. I can radio between, if I switch from inches to millimeters, well, let's just see how it works. It changes one variable in my drawing template sheet format note, if you follow that. So here's my drawing template. I'm zoomed in on the title block, and at this point, I've right-clicked, edit sheet format, and that's why I have this blue text, because it's showing me that this text is referencing a variable. And my mouse is hovered over, you can't see it, but my mouse is hovering over this inches word, and it's telling you which variable it's referencing. So it's referencing tolerance standard. So I'm going to go into the part here after this, and I'm going to change my part from metric to inches to show you that this will change, this variable here will change from metric to inches. And all my tolerance is the x dot x. That's where the difference. For metric, it's just x, and then x dot x, and then x dot xx versus ANSI. There's an extra x essentially with each tolerance value. Another thing we did here was this is where the customer name is written in to our title block for proprietary. So on sheet 1 and on sheet 2, this sentence is in both of the title blocks, and it will update based on whichever customer you select. So if we're working for a customer and it's proprietary to them, we just change the customer's name in here and it fits for them. And it keeps it automated and nice and smooth. Over here again, there's the variable. This is just a little snippet of a property tab builder. There's the tolerance standard variable that I have. There's the two names. Right now it's displaying inches. Oh, this is just showing the drawing template. I'm going to get right back to this actually and show you guys. So right here, I'm going to come in and change my tolerance standard because we messed up. This guy's in America and he wants his in inches. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the blank. So that's going to clear my variable because I only have one variable that controls two different things. So my inch tolerance and my metric tolerance. So now it's cleared. I click apply. That clears it. Now I select inches, come down, completely something different, injection. We haven't touched injection yet. So when I go back to the drawing, it should display injection. So I'm going to switch back, do a quick rebuild. I have inches and injection. And then every single value is changed as well, and with a couple buttons. So that's really what we were striving to do, was to make an automated title block. And then again, when I showed this specific note here that's tied to multiple different variables, those are the variables that you're seeing pop up right there in that little, when I hover my mouse over it, it's displaying the part number and the description of part number, description, material, and finish of this specific part. So back in the custom properties under document template or document properties, you select drawing sheets, and then you come here and you check this box. That makes sure that the title block for sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4 all reflect the assembly. But then we chose to make a custom note that will update based on the part template. So the workflow for this is you start in the property tab builder, you build out how you want your custom properties to appear on the right-hand side. Then you create your part template in your part and assembly template. And each one of those, you have them reference your property tab builder template that you've just built. And then from there, you have your drawing template. You create notes in your sheet format that reference the variables that are written to your custom properties. Thank you everyone for attending. You guys have any questions?